Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are back with a brand new video, and it is going to be talking about the NBA Western Conference predictions for the full seeding 1 through 15. And as you can tell, we got the bottom teams 11 through 15 and the play-in tournament. And it is going to shock you with one team, as you guys can probably tell, and that would be the Portland Trailblazers being at 11, which I will get into in here in a minute. We're going to start with, again, 15 through 11, and then we'll work our way to the first seed for the predictions coming up in this NBA season of 2021-2022. And starting with at 15, we got the Houston Rockets. Again, a good young team, but they do have some contracts that they're trying to get rid of. I know they talked of John Wall trading his contract away. He's trying to go and work with the Rockets to try to get him traded, and they're trying to get him traded. They're going to probably eventually try to get Eric Gordon traded. It would have been nice if they would have done it during the offseason, right when the free agency had started, so they can figure things out as to positions as far as what they wanted to do going forward, because there are talks of Kevin Porter Jr. moving to the point guard. Got Jalen Green that would be at the shooting guard. Christian Wood still. You got, and there are talks of actually trading away Christian Wood. And if that is the case, yeah, they'll be one of the worst teams in the league. And that simple fact, he's only 25 years old. Has got better with time. He went from, Crispy Flakes had talked about him in recent he went from a undrafted player to a backup for Andre Drummond when he was on the Pistons, to he started playing excellent once they traded away Andre Drummond. He went and got his money on the Houston Rockets at $14 million a year, which is a pretty good contract for him. But the talks of him getting traded. They still have Kenyon Martin Jr., Deshaun Tate. They have some great young players, but it's going to take some time. That's why I have the Thunder as low as they are. By golly, I saw some of the highlights. Lou Dort is looking like a stud. Pokusevsky, he's looking great. Of course, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Baisley, I guess I heard great things about him. The Derek Favors contract is not ideal, but again, they'll probably eventually either buy him out or trade him away. They do that with all the teams. I think one more piece, like a Chet Holmgren. I know there's another young prospect in this upcoming draft that is going to be tremendous that they'll get. They're like one good core piece away from being able to get being able to make it to the playoffs, and then they can start trading away all these extra picks to go out and get a stud all-star / great starter. They're filling in those pieces really nicely. There's two teams, of course, 11 through 15, that I'm hesitant on. And that's the Sacramento Kings. I love De'Aaron Fox. Great young stud point guard with averaging, 20 plus points a game, 6 or 7 assists a game. You got Davion Mitchell in the draft, Tyrese Halliburton. They still have Buddy Hield, which I'm quite surprised by. I love Buddy Hield. His career average is 40% from the free throw line. Or not free throw line, but the 3-point line. If it was free throw line, that'd be god-awful for a guard. Raquan Holmes is a great center for them. I like that move. Them trading for Tristan Thompson, nice little backup center for them. Marvin Bagley, they need to move on from him. Try to get themselves another power forward. By golly, he tore us up when he went against us last year. That was like one of the few games I was able to watch last year on the for the Pacers. He absolutely tore us up. But he's a great young stud power forward, but it's just not meshing together. they can move on from him, get another power forward instead, try to get maybe a different wing other than Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes, I heard and I've seen some moments where he goes off for like 20 plus points. Other games will go for like 10. He's very mixed, and he's been like that since he was on the Golden State Warriors. He started on Golden State Warriors shooting lights out at the 3-point line, went and got his max contract with the Dallas Mavericks, and he hasn't really blossomed to where we thought he could be. He's still a great player, but he's not the all-star level of the player that we expected him to. And so I have them at 13. 12, we got the San Antonio Spurs. If it wasn't for Greg Popovich being there, I'd probably have him at 15. I like the Joshua Primo. He's a young project developing player. Keldon Johnson's a stud. I'm questioning them keeping DeJounte Murray and Derek White. And there were talks of them trading them away, but they kept him. Not a bad move, but they went and got Joshua Primo. They have Lonnie Walker. Hasn't really done too much from what I've heard. They let DeMar DeRozan walk. They got Jakob Poeltl. Eubanks, I've heard good things about Eubanks, but again, nothing has stand out. I want to see Keldon Johnson take the next leap, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were becoming a play-in tournament just because they need that next step up player. They had that with Kawhi Leonard whenever Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Ginobili were getting closer to that retirement part. They were able to go and win one more championship because they got Kawhi to come in and play that lockdown defense. I want to see Keldon take that next step. And the next one, which is the most shocking, which again, I love Damien Willard. He's an absolute stud. Drops 50 points a game, 20 points a game, pretty much averaging 30 points a game, no less than 20 points a game. He's a great player, great facilitator, very underrated facilitator, but I don't think he's the reason why I have him so low at 11 is for the simple fact that they didn't do any moves to solidify them as a top contending team. They went and signed Cody Zeller, a former IU kid that, like, with me, I have a bullet spot right back here that eventually I'm going to have to let my hair go, shave my head, keep it shaved from now on. He needs to shave that head, but his game is good. It's old school to an extent, but hasn't really developed as a dude that's in his 30s now. Close to 30. I think he might be 29, going on 30 at the end of this year. I can't remember how old exactly, but he's only a couple years younger than me. They let Zach Collins go. They went and re-signed Norman Powell. That's not a bad move. He's a pretty good offensive player, but he's a guard forward. And CJ McCollum, if you look at his statistically, defensively, he's gotten worse every single year since he entered the NBA. He's gotten worse every single year. By golly, he's a stud mid-range specialist, great player. I like the Fernie Simmons. He's a great young point guard that could be their future rebuild player around to go. Because if Damien Willard were to ask to be traded, which if this does happen and they do get pushed out of the playoffs, that I could see this happening. That he would definitely be want to be traded if they were to fall to the 11th seed or the 11th place in the Western Conference. Next up is the Minnesota Timberwolves at 10. This is an interesting one. You can flip both of these two teams in my opinion. Looking at it, let me go ahead and let me just do that real quick. Let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, because I went ahead and just flipped it right now and thinking about it. with the Pelicans, you got Devontae Graham, Nicholas Alexander Walker. Nicholas Alexander Walker? I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. Brandon Ingram's a stud offensive player. Not the best defensive player. Zion Williamson. Valanciunas. They went and re-signed Josh Hart. I like that move a lot. I want to say there's some other players. I just can't think off the top of my head. That's surprising. Oh, Jackson Hayes. But I love the trade to get Valanciunas. Because, yes, you have Steven Adams. Kept Steven Adams. He's a great offensive rebounder. But the consistency of rebounding from Valanciunas is great. And he's actually developed his game to where he's willing and is able to make threes. I want to see him as a player develop a mid-range would be great. He doesn't have to really shoot three-pointers. In today's game, everybody's shooting three-pointers, so I understand why he's shooting three-pointers. But have a good mid-range out, really far out near the free throw line. Just have a nice mid-range game would be very helpful because then that gives Zion that chance to be able to drive to the hoop, be able to pass it out. He's not a bad facilitating power forward, point forward, absolute stud. As to why I have hit them over the Portland Trail Blazers, they actually have tried to progress and grow with Zion. Is it enough to make it into the next round? I don't think so. I think they're do the play-in tournament. They might be able to get. They'll probably end up losing in the play-in tournament because of the simple fact that, they are again they're a young team, but yet you don't have you don't have a great point guard. They had a great point guard in Lonzo Ball, whose game has developed. He actually has became a great point guard that, of course, Jordan loves to death, but he was a great point guard for Zion Williamson, and they just didn't want to re-sign him. I don't know why, but I like the Pelicans a lot, but they're nothing to, again, make to the next round. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, if they would have not... I understand the circumstance that at the end of the season, they had, I think, 5 more games left. That if they would have said, we're not feeling the most healthy, let's just hold back for a year, they could have had a top... They traded the pick for D'Angelo Russell for this past year, for D'Angelo Russell to the Golden State Warriors for a top 3 protected or top 4 protected, and it fell to the Warriors at 7 instead. And if they would have just kept losing, they would have been able to get, goodness gracious, they could have got like a Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham. They could have got a lot of good young stud players. Hell, Scotty Barnes would have been amazing on this team. A great point forward that is great defensively, playing along Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley. Yeah, that would have been amazing. But I understand why they want to. They want to show that, hey, we are playing / we are a playoff team. Like, you have, again, like I said, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, Karl Anthony Towns. Great young team in the development. They're only 25 years old. D'Angelo Russell, and Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards grew 2 inches in the offseason, went from 6'4" to 6'6". He showed great promise whenever throughout his whole, like at the beginning of the season, he was kind of showing the rookie wall, but then he started developing and growing, and he got pretty consistent. And so I see them possibly making the play-in tournament. I like the idea of the growth and development of them versus, again, Portland, where you got Damien Willard, who's 31, 32. I think he might be. No, he's not older than me. I think he's 30. CJ McCollum's younger at 29. But they're getting older. That, again, the young youthfulness, and if they can continue to grow together, I like them a lot more than the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, next up is going to be the 5th through the 8th seed, and again, some shocking things, which actually, I remember I was actually not finished with this because I have Utah Jazz so low. Let's go ahead and move some things around real quick. Do I like... I like that. I know for a fact I want to keep the Dallas Mavericks at 8th. Because I do not like... Or, it's not I don't like. It's more of the simple fact that they have not tried to... They didn't do any moves in the offseason. They didn't have a pick this year, if I remember correct. They kept Kristaps Porzingis. They didn't do any moves. I love Luka. I love Luka to death. Great shooter. Not great at his free throw shooter. He needs to work on his free throws more, but he's a stud. But he complains a lot, and you got Kristaps. He had a great preseason. Now, can he continue to grow and develop his game while during the regular season? That way, they're not the 8th seed. But we don't know that for a fact. He tends to get hurt more often than not. As to why I understand why the Knicks had moved on from him. But as of now, I got them at the 8th seed. They didn't grow and make it to where they haven't developed to become the team that we like for them to. This is rough. This is rough. I'd rather not have the Lakers at 7th. Yeah, I'll keep them at... Man. Because they did get 7th last year. But the addition of... Let's just get into as to why I'm thinking about keeping them at 7th. Simple fact that you got LeBron James that has been hurt ever since he came to the Lakers. Like, before he went to the Lakers, he was healthy. Like, not missing any games whatsoever. And before he came to the Lakers, he went to the finals pretty much 13 years in a row. He absolutely tore up the East. It wasn't even close. And then he came to the Lakers, got hurt. And then they went and got Anthony Davis. He had a healthy season that year. Got hurt this past year and with a groin injury, and then he had Anthony Davis get hurt. Anthony Davis has been hurt since he was towards the tail end of his time with the Pelicans. Westbrook, I love the addition of Westbrook to an extent. Again, there's a guy named TSO Sage on YouTube. TSO, and it's usually an underscore Sage, but if you look up TSO Sage, he's an absolute... He tells it like it is. He does not hold back the words. He does not hold back emotions. The dude is he goes off on his Lakers. Like, he's a Lakers fan, loves the Lakers. He does not hold back. and he talked about how Westbrook is an awful addition. He wished he would have got a 3-point shooter. He wished he would have got some other players in the wake of getting Westbrook. I love Westbrook. Like, again, he's talked about that where there's Westbrook haters and there's also Westbrook lovers. There's really nothing in between, but I try to be in between and understand that, in which you'll get that from a lot of people, that you're going to get triple doubles and maybe even quadruple doubles in games where he's going to be having 10 turnovers a game. He even talked about it himself in recent Westbrook, where he's going to turn over the ball. Nobody's going to stop him turn over the ball, in which, if I were him, I would be wanting to try to control my turnovers. But the consistency, if he's able to develop a great three-point shooting somehow, which he's never really been over. I think he's been over 40, near 40%, like twice in his career. I think 39% in 2007, 2008 season. No, that's not right. 2009, 2010. And then 38%. And the rest have been like 35, like 33, 30. I think he's been at one point like 20, like even in the teens percentage. But that's not his game. And with LeBron wanting to have the ball in his hands, it's going to be an interesting dynamic with LeBron wanting the ball in his hands, Westbrook wanting the ball in his hands. Neither one of them have been a great three-point shooter. They've been good three-point shooters at times. Anthony Davis has been okay at three-point shooting. He's got a little bit better at it. The additional pieces that they got with Malik Monk, Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, it's all about them be willing to shoot three-pointers and play defense. And Carmelo is not the best defending player. He's a great rebounder. He can go and get his own bucket. Does push off at times. I'll even call it out. He does offensive pushes, like little nudges. And there's sometimes where he just completely just pushes the guy out of the way. Refs don't call it. I'll even call it out there. With all these great players, they got Dwight Howard. They also did they get JaVale McGee? No, they didn't get JaVale McGee. What's the other center? It wasn't Drummond. Was it McGee? No, McGee went to the Suns. Dwight Howard. Once there was another center they got, but I don't think there was. But they're going to be. Let me go and turn it up just a tad bit for you guys. There we go. So that way, whenever I'm not talking, you guys can actually hear the music. But yeah, they're one of the oldest teams in the league. Actually, I think they're the oldest. Yeah, they're the oldest, and then the Nets are like second or third oldest because of the Paul Millsap signing and Aldridge signing. I'm glad to see that Aldridge came back. That was awesome. I'm glad he had a bad heart palpitation, and so he had to retire for that sake. But he seems like his heart is back into play. So I'm glad that he can go out on his own terms and not have a condition hold him back. But I don't like having them at 7th, but I'm going to probably keep them at 7th. The Memphis Grizzlies at 6th. I like that. Again, whoever watches this video that has never been subscribed or never have watched my videos, aren't subscribed, I have been playing 2K22 my career a lot, and I became a huge Memphis Grizzlies fan. I love Ja Morant, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams. I wish I would have kept Valanciunas, but the Zaire Williams seems like he's an absolute stud on the offensive side. I like that a lot. DeAnthony Melton's a great player. You got Desmond Bain, Xavier Tillman, Concher, Brandon Clark. I could go list on. I just love. And then they also went and got Gasol, but I think he's going to probably play very little minutes. Try to help them develop as a team to make it to where they be able to make the playoffs consistently. And probably by the end of the season, he might consider retiring since he's on his old team. But yeah, I like the Jazz a lot. And going from play-in tournament, beating the Warriors with a healthy Steph Curry. By golly, they didn't have Klay Thompson, but they did have Draymond Green. They didn't have these additional pieces like Kuminga and Moses Moody on that team yet, but still, Ja Morant went off, and unfortunately, the team that they're next to right here in this prediction, they lost to them. Utah Jazz are one of the best defending teams, which we'll actually get right into them here in a very short bit, but they're on the up and rising, the Memphis Grizzlies. They're not quite there yet. Let Zaire Williams continue to develop. Let all the young players continue to develop, and then maybe try to get a even better center for the Jazz or the Grizzlies, and I think they're contending for a title sooner than later. Next up is the Utah Jazz, going from the first seed, which it's rough to have them only at fifth, but they didn't again really make moves that have solidified them to be at the number one. I do like the additions of Hassan Whiteside. They went and got that Azubuike. He's a great young center that they might consider trading away Rudy Gobert eventually. I love that Azubuike kid. He seems like a really good young center. Of course, Donovan Mitchell's Donovan Mitchell. Bojan Bogdanovic, Bogey that we had here in Indiana, also great small forward that's 33 years old. Got Joe Ingles, great. I guess he's a really good ball handler, small forward, power forward. They can shoot threes really well. Not the best defender, but they've been very mixed. And they also went and got Rudy Gay. He's a pretty good, consistent shooter, but hasn't really ever since he left the Grizzlies the first time, he hasn't really broken out since then. He went from the Grizzlies to the Toronto Raptors, got his money, got traded to the Kings, and then went from the Kings to the Spurs to now on the Jazz. I don't feel like there's another team, but they're good. They're a great team, but they don't have any young players to play along with Donovan Mitchell for the future. That's why I'm kind of like hesitant on having them. Also, Mike Conley, again, he was also All-Star snub, but yet he was a great point guard for them. But again, all these players I mentioned are in their 30s or late 20s, like Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Once they are done with their contracts, they might want to go and sign with another team that's an actual contending team, like the Lakers. And the teams that are above these teams, they might want to go sign with them. And all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell's by himself without a young stud player to play next to him. And so let's go ahead, move on up to 4th through 2nd. We got the Golden State Warriors, the Clippers, and the Suns. And of course, let's go ahead and you guys can see at the bottom the Denver Nuggets at the 1st seed. Golden State Warriors, it all depends on so many factors as to why I even have them at 4th. By golly, once Klay Thompson comes back is a key factor. There are talks that he's going to be playing or be able to do full practices next month. And like what I've talked to Mike and Zach about from ZKM Sports Talk, that He'll probably be able to play in December, probably maybe play that Christmas game. I think it's the Lakers Warriors on Christmas Day that he might be able to play that game. And if he plays like Klay Thompson that we all have came to know and love, this team is scary. It's going to be absolutely terrifying. They got some young kids in Moses Moody and Kuminga and James Wiseman. But yet they had the veteran leadership of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They went and signed Iguodala. They just now released Avery Bradley, which he's a great defender, but I understand why they would release him. They went and they still have Jordan Poole. I love Jordan Poole. Like, he's a good young kid that is a great 3-point shooter. But there's so many different factors. What kind of development are we going to see from Kuminga? What kind of development are we going to see from Moses Moody and James Wiseman? Wiseman got benched at times for Kevin Looney instead. Is he going to be able to continue to grow and develop? As to why I have him at 4th, or else I would probably even have him at 2nd. We don't know how well and how healthy Klay Thompson is going to be once he does come back in November. As to why I have him at 4th, but still, it's Steph Curry. It's still a great core of youth and veterans. So I love Golden State Warriors, but the other two teams, when it comes to the Clippers, Paul George, you got Kawhi Leonard once he does come back. You know what? I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to move them down. I'm actually put the Warriors at 3. I might even consider moving them actually even further. But I'll talk about them real quick. The Clippers, now I'm thinking about it more so. I had them so high. But a full year of no Kawhi Leonard. But they do have Paul George, Serge Ibaka, Terrence Mann. Yes, Terrence Mann. Great young kid. 22 at the oldest, if not 21. He's a really good, like, he tore up the Jazz. Luke Kennard is an elite sniper, 3-point shooter. Reggie Jackson came to his own during the playoffs. Man, he tore it up. But unfortunately, they did fall to the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. But they're still a great team. Yeah. Without Kawhi Leonard, I like... Yeah, I like this more so for the simple fact that the Jazz have the right amount of veterans to keep things under control, and they have some leadership. But yeah, they got a great offensive player in Donovan Mitchell, as to why I have them at the 4th seed. I'll even slide the Clippers behind the Memphis Grizzlies, because again, you have a great growing, developing team in the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Clippers, who are, again, they're missing one of their best players for a full year, as to why I have them. Don't even move further down. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. There we go. That looks a lot better. In which, the Lakers got that trio of superstars. Plus, it got some great 3-point shooters mixed with some defense. Yeah, I'm going to slide the Clippers even further, because I do enjoy the Clippers. They're a good team, but again, outside of Paul George, nothing has, been... The Clippers haven't fully... Sorry about that. Whew. Okay, so the Clippers that their development is their development hasn't really been the best in that circumstance. So I like the other three that I just put in front of them just for some fact of leadership or the veterans mixed with some youth. The Clippers are getting a little bit older. They went and re-signed Nicholas Batum, who is getting older. Reggie Jackson has been around for quite some time now. Goodness gracious. He was a backup to Westbrook, and whenever it was Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and Serge Ibaka back in those days, he was a backup to the Thunder back in those days. That we also went and got. They went and also got Eric Bledsoe, good player, but his contract is pretty bad. But yeah, I like. Also, I forgot Rajon Rondo went and signed with the Lakers, so that's another reason why I probably would have them over the Clippers, because he's a good facilitating guard. That's a good defending guard too in that aspect. And so yeah, I'll put the Clippers even further down. Moving on to the next team, we got the Phoenix Suns. As to why they're second, as their depth. Again, they got some great depth. Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton. They went and they went and re-signed Jay Crowder. They re-signed Cameron Payne, Chris Paul. They re-signed Chris Paul. They already have Devin Booker under contract, and Devin Booker's only 24 years old. This is his first year this past year tasting the playoffs, and that's a great team. I just mentioned there alone. Cam Thomas, I want to say has another player of theirs, but it all depends on the health again of Chris Paul. In what way will DeAndre Ayton be able to take the next step as far as being able to play great defense? Is he going to be able to develop his shot to be further back even? He doesn't have to shoot three-pointers. Again, centers nowadays do try to shoot three-pointers, but you don't have to. You can be even further back to let your guards be able to go in and be able to facilitate the ball. If you have just a decent little mid-range, even have like a further deep mid-range, you don't have to shoot threes. But the development is key on the Cameron Payne. He had a great playoffs. If he can continue to show that during the regular season, get them to the second seed, they might be able to even get that first seed. I wouldn't be surprised. And the most surprising of them all is the Denver Nuggets at the first seed. Okay. Wow, this is only actually 38 minutes. That's kind of surprising. Spam risk. Just go away. I don't want to hear your face. Okay, so, I muted them, right? Hold on a second. Okay, anyways, sorry about that. Okay, so the Denver Nuggets, I love the depth. They were even deeper, but they let go of players that haven't really they didn't fully blossom at that time. But they went and got some great players that I liked. And they had the MVP in Nikola Jokic. They were missing Jamal Murray, one of the best young guards in the league. They went and I'm certain they re-signed Aaron Gordon to a contract. Did they? No, they're trying to work on a contract. Maybe. Possibly. You guys leave a comment down below if they did or not. I want to say yes, but I'm not quite certain if they did. Anyone signed Jeff Green? I like that a lot. He has been he hasn't been the Jeff Green of the Boston Celtics. I love Jeff Green on the Boston Celtics. He was a closeout, clutch shooter, great player. And since then, he's continued to play great, but hasn't been at that same level since then. He's done his part and has been that Swiss Army knife of a player that Nicholas Batum has been. There's been players that do that little bit of everything, and he does a great job defending. Will Barton, Monte Morris, the Compazzo kid, Michael Porter Jr. has continued to grow and has become one of the biggest steals in his draft in 2018, I want to say, possibly. He was picked at 14th no matter what, I know for a fact, and he has continued to grow and develop. Then you continue to try to see if Bobo is a thing. I know Taco Fall got released and is now on the Cavaliers. That's a whole nother topic on hand later on, which you can tell in the left-hand corner right above me is Eastern Conference, which again I'm still trying to work on that one. This one was a lot more not predictable, but I was able to get a good feel. There's like 5-6 teams. I'm still trying to figure out if they're going to work or not, but this is my Western Conference prediction. Probably the biggest one is the Portland Trail Blazers. I'll probably get eaten up in the comments. I'll probably get eaten up in the prediction as how the outcome actually does happen. I'll probably get eaten up on that one. I feel like maybe the Timberwolves might not make it, or in the Pelicans. Wouldn't be surprised if either one don't make it and they make it into the play-in tournament. The Dallas Mavericks might fall to the play-in tournament. Yeah, like outside of the play-in tournament, Dallas Mavericks and the Trailblazers, everything else, I feel very confident in as far as where their seedings will be. Well, I don't know about confident of their seedings, but they'll be one of those top teams in those specific seedings, 1 through 4, 5 through 8, the play-in tournament, 11 through 15. I feel quite confident in that circumstance. And again, when it comes to predicting things, again, this is my opinion. I'm not guaranteeing any of this. There's no way in hell. For all we know, every single team above 1 through the play-in tournament at seed 10 could all be injured throughout the whole thing. All their stars could get hurt. Houston Rockets could fall to the first seed for all we know. This is my predictions. But yeah, this was fun. I have been wanting to do the predictions / power rankings, which eventually we will do a power rankings with Zach and Mike. We might do it tonight. I don't know yet. I will be posting this, and this will be for 4 p.m. today, as in Saturday, and then I'll probably do the Eastern Conference tomorrow, as in Sunday, and do a micro video on Sunday also, and I'll probably actually do a update video for Monday. I don't know how much more I'm going to be playing New World on the channel or doing any other games other than my career for now for the channel. That's just a quick minor update for the channel. With all that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. I'll talk to you guys later.